If I was to ask you what bodybuilding means to you, what would you say?
Um, that's changed a lot over the last couple of years. I think now I see bodybuilding as like a platform to do. This is more of a recent revelation as well, but it's more of a platform for me to do what it is that I enjoy the most, which is to actually to help people, specifically young people. Um, I I think over the last like 4 or 5 years with bodybuilding and coaching, I've not really understood what I've wanted from it. I think naturally I've been like, oh, I want to be a pro bodybuilder one day, and I've like worked towards that goal, and that means something to me, like specifically. But more recently, I've noticed that whilst that's still very much on the agenda, although I've had moments of questioning that, I think, and that, like I said, that's a personal goal to me. I've realised that I get a lot of fulfillment and a lot of purpose from being able to use that as a way to coach younger people beyond just having a better physique. You'll notice, or I would like to think, anyone that pays any attention to my social media, the clients that I work with, I've I get the best results from a lot of the younger lads that allow me to nurture them in more ways than just training and nutrition. Right, like it's nice for me to be able to support them in more ways than in that, and I feel like I get into that. I don't shy away from allowing the people that I work with to lean on me and express concerns or worries away from just bodybuilding, and I think that's what serves me most. So yeah, in terms of like what bodybuilding means for me, it feels like it's a platform for me to be able to serve myself in more ways than just one, but also for me to be able to serve others as well.
So it's kind of like allowing you to lead people in the direction that you can see that they might blossom, but at the same time you're not forcing them in that direction. It's kind of at their own will and as they decide, right?
Yeah, I mean, mate, on every call that I have now with like clients that come on, and it's something that I think I've always instinctively done without the conscious awareness of it, is I try and create a space, like a safe space in those calls, or maybe like months into these relationships when people do work with me, and I'm like, what is it that you want? What is it you want to try and achieve? And they'll go, oh, well, I want a better physique, or I'd like to like maybe compete one day, or just do a prep. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like, don't be modest. You know, I'm here, and I'm genuinely, I want to support you in whatever it is that you want to do. Is it just like getting on stage, or is it just like get a bit of a better physique, or is there a much bigger goal beyond that, which feels a bit unrealistic, and you might be a bit embarrassed to admit, and you're holding back? Like, make me aware of that. And a lot of the time, I almost like I can see it before it's even been said, and I like have to coax it out of people. A lot of the lads that have competed with me last year, um, Ben Rogers, Ben Smith. There's a few of the other lads that competed, and like they'd never openly admitted that they wanted to compete when they first joined. But I knew it was there. Like I could see it in them, and then that sort of transforms into, well, I want to do this within coaching, or I want to be able to create this brand, um, or I'm really struggling with, you know, how I talk to myself, and I feel like bodybuilding allows me to sort of like drown out that noise. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go into that as well. Let's talk a little bit about that and why that exists. And again, I mean, I don't try and be a therapist, but I think what you can learn about yourself by being vulnerable and just brutally honest openly with someone else who is gonna support that brutal honesty. What you can learn about yourself is, I think it's massive. I think what you can do with someone else, you can't do with yourself. Like trying to work through your own thoughts in your own mind without vocalizing it. It's kind of like an echo chamber. It's kind of like it's kind of like trying to look at at the back of your head. Like, you just
Mhm.
can't do it. You need to be able to vocalize it, and with the right person, it's going to allow you to be able to work through some of your thoughts that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do without that person there. And I think that's often what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to structurally understand why we're here, why you want these goals. Is there anything beyond that? And sort of coax those thoughts and feelings out of people when working towards that goal.
Yeah, I think with social media nowadays, there's almost this kind of need and want to compete, but it's less so for them. And a lot of the time, it's because other people think that it's what they want to do, or it's
Mm,
that, but just because they're going to the gym and they're making physique gains and they've done a photo shoot maybe, and now all of a sudden, like that's the next thing. Whenever we have these consultation calls, whenever have we talks, and people are like, "Yeah, I want to compete" and stuff like that. It's like, okay, cool, but like, what is the deeper meaning behind it? Like, what would stepping on stage mean to you? What would being in that shape mean to you? Like,
mm.
is it a deeper meaning for you? Is it a sense of achievement? Is it because you've lacked confidence, and by stepping on a stage in front of everyone, like you're showing off yourself, you're showing that confidence, and people don't really realize the extremities behind it, and also the fact that as bodybuilders ourselves, we know the health risks that come with it. We know the mental demand that comes with it. We know how taxing it can be on the body. And just to say, "Oh yeah, I want to go compete," like it's much deeper than that, because you're potentially putting yourself at risk for just something that you don't necessarily want, but you think everyone else wants you to do it. So you're almost proving it for someone else. Um,
Yeah, I think that understanding is like a really the understanding of the meaning behind what you're doing something is obviously very, very important. I
mm,
think, like you say, there's a large number of people getting into bodybuilding and competing for recognition. I feel like the my experience is there are a lot of there are a lot of young people. I'm gonna say I want to say young men, but I think that would be doing a disservice to women as well. But there's a lot of young people. I just work with mostly men, but there's a lot of young people that aren't seen and heard, and I think they go through life clutching desperately at an opportunity to be recognized, and it isn't through ego. It's through um, feeling meaning and purpose and loved, and
mhm,
um and I think that's where a lot of people go down that competitive route. Is look, we're not pack animals, but we're very tribal, right? We're
mhm,
community based creatures, right? And we all want to feel like we belong somewhere. And my experience was that I didn't felt like I belong, or yeah, I didn't really feel like I belong anywhere when in my early 20s.
mhm,
I always had bodybuilding in the background from 17, 18 years old, but I wasn't heavily like situated within that like community. And I think there was a point that I felt like competing was going to allow me to be seen in the ways that I felt like I needed in that moment. But that
mhm,
slowly changed over time, and it became more about my awareness of what it was going to take to get to the goal that I'd set for myself. And I
mhm,
think a lot of my wants and desires to be recognized and to be seen actually were more about how I saw myself. And that goal then became about proving something to myself, that I am capable and I can do these things, and I have patience, and I can work hard, and I can be consistent. And it was like I realized that goal wasn't about recognition or wasn't
mhm,
external validation. Uh, it was more about me me proving that to myself, and knowing that I am capable of these things that I value within a person. Um, you know, I would love for someone to speak of me and go, yeah, Max works really hard, or Max is he's really organized, or Max is really consistent, or patient, or like, you know, these are virtues that I want to be associated with. And I felt like bodybuilding gave me a direction to be able to associate myself with those virtues.
That's a really nice thought. And
Thanks.
I'm sure it is. And I think the one thing that we don't realize is how often people do talk about us behind our backs, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Whether it's your family members who are out and they're talking to their friends and they're like, "Oh, look at Max! Like Max is doing really well," kind of thing. Um,
Mm,
and again, I think touching on what you were saying about the almost like the external love and the external validation for what you do. And I think the reason why it's so big is in a prep, you work so hard, it's so physically demanding, it's so mentally demanding. And you almost want everyone to recognize how hard it is and how much of a struggle you're going through.
mm,
And I think that's where it comes into the trying to get the external validation and the fame and going viral and stuff like that for your prep series and things like that. And it's more of you're trying you subconsciously you want people to recognize how hard you're working and how tough you are and how good condition you are. Um,
why do you think I've got an idea as to why that is, but why do you think that people want other people to recognize that?
I think it's just the way humans are wired. It's you I think a lot of the time it comes down to insecurity for some people. I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes people they don't they struggle with self-reinforcement. So by having
Well,
a
you nearly
bigger
said it.
audience,
You
huh?
nearly said the word. You nearly said the word. That's what I've got in my head. But you're right. Yeah, carry on. This is wicked, by the way. I love these kind of conversations. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean to
But
interrupt.
no, no, it's true. But yeah, it's like this self-validation and kind of the self
Worth.
worth. Yeah. That
Mm.
was what I was actually thinking. But yeah, it is self-worth. It's that kind of
Self validation and self worth. They're very closely linked. And I think you've pretty much, for me at least, my opinion is you've nailed it. Most people are looking for validation because they are trying to prove that they are worth what they want to feel like they are worth. The
Mhm.
problem is self-worth doesn't come from me telling you you're great. Self-worth comes from your ability to recognize and be honest with yourself around your actions and behaviors and the
Mm.
outcome of those behaviors and actions. Like, and I think that's, you know, a lot of mental health problems stem from that. And this is why a lot of famous people don't, you know, end up struggling with the mental health, or, you know, end up committing suicide. And no amount of love is going to make you, or recognition from others is going to make you, um, it's truly going to make you appreciate yourself in the way that you need to in order to have legitimate self-worth. It's something that you need to be able to do yourself and work on yourself and recognize yourself. And I think people, and that's much harder to do that self-work than it is to do something to be acknowledged and then think that that's what's gonna it's gonna do it for you, right? So you'll go and do it, and this is what I'm seeing is like I'll get a lot of kids do a prep, or a young lad do a prep, and they they want to be seen, they want to be noticed and acknowledged, and it appears like external validation, but to essence it is, but the reason for that is because they have such low self
Self-esteem.
confidence and self esteem that they can't tell themselves that again, mate, I've been through all of this myself, but like I've struggled with this in the past. You can't tell yourself I'm proud of myself.
Mm.
Like I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of my achievements. I'm proud of the work that I'm putting in. It's almost like I need someone to turn around and go, no, I'm proud of
I'm
you. And
proud
then
of
you go,
you.
oh, that's it. That's what I needed. But like, that's not sustainable, and it's not really doing the inner work.
I also feel like that's what's slightly dangerous about bodybuilding, especially with the demographic getting younger and younger as people lack that
Mm,
kind of mental maturity. And don't get me
definitely.
wrong, it's amazing that the sport is getting so big and it's involving more and more young people, but at the same time, it's potentially creating that gateway for those who aren't in that mental state. They aren't in that mental maturity where they can actually understand these processes and understand
100%.
how they feel. And I think without the support, and I don't feel like there is enough support. Obviously, we try and talk about mental health as much as we can. It's got more and more aware over the years. Like you go back to the 90s and the 2000s, there was none. There was no support, and
Zero.
you were looking at the top
Mm.
top guys, and they were struggling with their mental health. Like
But
even
I'll give you a caveat to that, which
mhm,
is no social media.
yeah, yeah,
Like I know mental health issues have been prevalent throughout all of time, but they're worse now than they ever have been. But there's
mm,
more support for it now than there ever has been. Whilst people struggled and suicide was still ridiculously high, especially in men 20, 30, 40 years ago, the type um of mental health issues has changed. And I feel like bodybuilding, social media is, as you mentioned just a second ago, is it's taking advantage of young people's vulnerabilities around their lack
hmm
of self-worth. And it revolves all around, it comes all back around social media. This guy's getting noticed. This guy's getting noticed. This guy's killing it. This guy's making more money. We're the same age. We're the same age. He's killing it. He's got a sick car. I'm living at home with my mum and dad. Like, and the thing is 99% of all young adults below the age of 25 are living at home with their parents, making a couple of £1,000 a month, and like just being normal. Like that's just the reality for most
hmm
normal young 20-year-olds or teens. But you focus on
the
the
1%.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, and that's what social media does. And then all of a sudden you're like, right, well, I want to look like this pro bodybuilder at 23 years old, and he's making millions and or hundreds of thousands a year, and why can't I be like, I'm shit. That's what it is. And then that's where it leads into like looking for that validation um
And
and
this is the
obviously lacking that self-worth.
this is the deceptive thing is even if you go all the way up to the Olympia stage, not every athlete is famous. Not every athlete is like you
No.
can find Olympia athletes that are completely unknown and you've never heard of them, and they might have one year where their physique for some reason blows up. They now become like a top contender, and all of a sudden they're blowing up on all of the bodybuilding pages, and then they start
Mm,
getting followers. But they've put 10, 15 years of hard work, grit, and delayed gratification and not reaped any of the rewards. They've even got
mm,
to the top stage where everyone assumes that you're going to be famous because you're on the top stage and you're not. And I think that's where it's dangerous is people don't realize this. They don't they like you said, you're only seeing the 1% that's on on your feed. Like you're not seeing the 99% of athletes who are putting in work day in day out, maybe not even having social media, maybe not even like posting all the time, not being consistent, not knowing the content algorithms that everyone needs to blow up. Like there's such a fixation on being and it all comes down to self-worth and self-validation. If you validate yourself, if you put in the hard work and you understand that what you're doing is really hard and takes a lot of mental grit and determination, then you're more likely to be receptive of what you're doing and understand that the hard work you're putting in will pay off in your physique. And over time, you might get the chance and you might get the opportunities to put yourself out there on a further, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's becoming viral, whether it's whatever. But you can't use that as your building blocks. Like they're rewards that you get as a result of the hard work you put in. but the building
exactly.
blocks are the foundations, and you need to build that wall before you can kind of stand at the top and grab the trophy. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
there's two sides of the story.
I think yeah, I mean, 2 points is I quite literally know Olympia bodybuilders that live at home with their parents in their 30s that aren't making a third of what I make in terms
Mm-hmm.
of finance, in terms of wages or finances a year, right? And like that really just should just tell you that your presence on a competitive stage really is just, it means jack shit. Right? It means nothing. It's so much more than just a physique. Um, so, but that aside, I think those building blocks, you know, you were saying what are the foundations in which you work towards something like that, and it's and I think, you know, what do you think those building blocks look like? I mean, I know what for me what bodybuilding. The reason why I do bodybuilding, there's a few reasons, but for me, it's for me bodybuilding allows me to, like I said earlier, serve myself in ways beyond just building a physique,
Mm-hmm.
but it also builds structure around my life. And it's kind of, and like a lot of people will go, oh, that's negative, but for me it kind of feels like the glue that holds everything together, right? Like it's the core of everything. And I have ADHD, and so it's like something that I don't take medication, and I have been diagnosed when I was 8. So I don't self-diagnose that, by the way. So some people do. But I do have ADHD, and bodybuilding slows me down, so it keeps me less in the hyperactive
Mm-hmm.
bracket, and it gives me focus. And because of that, it means that I can structure my focuses on other things. And so, like, for me, it's a net positive, and it's existed before I coached and used bodybuilding as a platform to make money, and it will exist long after I stop coaching or
Mm-hmm.
competitively bodybuilding. It will always be there. Um, and that's why I love it. Right, I love bodybuilding, not necessarily competitive bodybuilding, although I do love competitive bodybuilding. But I love bodybuilding generally because of the structure, and it's like the glue that keeps everything together, and it makes me a better person. And that for me is my foundation, and I think that's a I've liked I've tossed and turned with like ideas of what I want from bodybuilding and where my head's at and what it means to me. But ultimately, I think that those things that I've just mentioned there, they're very good. Um, they're very good places to start when it comes to trying to create something of like a bodybuilding career. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your reason isn't I want to have a mint physique and loads of people to think that I look mint and like get loads of girls, because first of all,
You won't get
girls
girls.
don't like girls. No, you attract 10 times more blokes now that you're jacked than you
Well,
do
you attract
girls.
girls that look like blokes.
Yeah. And it's just like I just think, yeah, you've got your priorities wrong, and like those things can come later down the line. That's fine. You're entitled to like want those things as well.
Mm.
But yeah, like we said, I think that your staples need to be things that feel like they're truly serving you. And for me, they do, and I think that's been a massive revelation and positive for me, recognizing that.
I agree with what you said about the structure, and everyone knows that once you get to a certain point in bodybuilding, it's like your structure is everything, and if you don't lack the structure, it's like they say, like my coach said it this morning, you've got to act like a pro before you are a pro. um
Mm,
and those kind of things really stick with me. But I think for me it's one of those that, and my goals, especially with bodybuilding, I'm sure you're the very much the same, they shift all the time, and where you perceive where you want to be is always changing.
mm,
And it always changes on different milestones that you hit, different opportunities that you get given. And I think for me, it's like when I started bodybuilding, it's very much like I want an IFBB pro card. I want to be on the Olympia stage. I want to be one of the top bodybuilders. And now, like, it's shifted to the point where it's like, yes, I still want an IFBB pro card. Like, that would be an amazing dream. And yes, I'd love to step on the Olympia stage someday in the future. But for me, it's more now, it's like, how can I be the best bodybuilder I can be? It's like, once you get on stage, once you step with everyone, once you get to that point, you start to understand that the placing is great, but it doesn't really mean something. You can do the same 3 shows with the same people, and you can place third on one, you can win another, and you can place last on the last one. It
Hmm.
doesn't. It's all about other people's perception of your physique. It's about how you present it. It's like, did you peak well? Those kind of things. And just because you have the physique doesn't mean that you're going to win. And it is very
Very true.
prevalent when you go to the amateur stages. You see guys who are like 6'5" and they're like 220 pounds. That they're ridiculously sized, and then you've got someone who's 5'6", 5'7" who will beat them because they're in better condition. Their overall look better, and they focused more on what they could give instead of how big they can be.
Yeah.
And it's very prevalent as you go along. And I think for me, it's kind of like bodybuilding allows me to not only improve my physique and improve the way I am, but it allows me to inspire others to put in the work to get to where I am or even get further than where I am. And it's like, no matter where you are in your journey, there will always be someone who's further along, and there will always be someone who's further behind. And no matter where you are, whether you're an amateur, whether you're a pro, whether you're on the Olympia stage, there's always someone that you can look up to. But at the same time, there's a whole group of people who are looking at you and using you as a role model. So whether you're Instagram famous, whether you're TikTok famous, whatever it is, even if you're not, right? You go into the gym, people see you in the gym, people use you as a role model in the gym. If you're training hard, if you're working hard, if you're pushing yourself to your limits, other people will see that and reciprocate that and put that into their own training. And this is what it comes down to, just understanding the whole validation about the more that you can love what you do and the whole process is what you enjoy and want to pursue, the more that other people are going to feel that and take that in, and they're going to give that into their own life. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing that I love the most. It's just that constant the ability of inspiring someone else to be better than what they are now.
Yeah. Again, in terms of like anyone that might be listening to this, it's very, very difficult uh to to be able to apply a lot of what you've said at a
Mm-hmm.
young age. I think a lot of young people are generally confused about their needs and their wants versus their needs, and the kind of person that they want to be. They think they know, but they don't. And you
Which is
mentioned about,
understandable.
yeah, absolutely. There's no, I mean, fuck me, I was barely wiping my own arse at 20 years old. Like, do you know what I mean? I was so immature, and that I've been fortunate enough to be around people, family that have been able to help my growth and support that in multiple different ways. But um, I think, look, even me a few weeks ago, it was a few months ago, I I felt like I was getting um, I felt like I was getting claustrophobic because I didn't. I had an idea of what I wanted. I actually spoke about this on my Instagram the other day, and I felt like I knew what I wanted, because what I thought I knew I wanted was what I've been telling myself I wanted
Mm-hmm.
for 3, 4, 5 years. And what a lot of people don't realize is, very rarely do people just sit down and, without the phone, and ask themselves what what makes them feel good. What do they derive, like, not pleasure but purpose from,
Purpose.
meaning. And and again, sort of like trailing back round to what I've already said, initially my purpose came from being able to be a better version of myself, not as a physique, but just as how I operate, how my mind
Mm-hmm.
works. Um, and I was able to like I was able to like wrap that up, um, and
Compartmentalized.
That's the word I'm looking for. And be able to view that as a status within bodybuilding. Like, I'm a pro bodybuilder, and all these things that I know are going to make me a better person in myself, if I achieve this, it's required me to be this person to get there. Kind of like what you were saying earlier about like operating like a pro before you are one, right? So I'm like, I know if I can be this person and operate this way consistently, I'm going to be there, and that is going to be my sign to that tells me that I am now the person that I say I am, and that's great. I thought that was a really powerful thing and goal for me. But over the years, I'm still telling myself that, but I'm not giving myself space to go, hold up, is there anything else? Is there anything else that I need to be doing to serve myself? Is there anything else that it brings me meaning and purpose that I'm not addressing right now? And whilst I still want to be a pro bodybuilder, and it's still okay for me to want that and work towards that, what I was doing is I was doing it to the detriment of these other things that I knew were important to me and needed addressing, but hadn't fully understood that they were a requirement now in my life. And an example of that was when I first started bodybuilding, when I first started doing this, I was living with I still live with Harvey, my younger brother, but I was living with my younger brother, and it was just me and him, right? It was just me, just him. We would spend most of the day together. And it felt like me and him against the world. And we got loads of quality time, and I didn't have a partner. I didn't have a girlfriend. I barely had any clients. It was just like delivery driving part-time, handful of clients, trying to be a bodybuilder, right? And Harvey was very much the same, trying to be a professional DJ. And we just had like all this time to spend with each other. And as I've grown older, and as is he, and we're still very fortunate to live together. I mean, that's by design, but we often find ourselves like we're passing ships, right? We don't really stop and connect the same. And I realized that a little while ago, that's a massively important part of what makes me happy. Like spending time with family and connecting with people that I love. And I started bodybuilding at the expense of, the way I was bodybuilding was at the expense of those things. And what I didn't realize, and this is the trap, right? This is the trap. It was fucking, it was a revelation for me, is I thought that I can't do that. I can't make time for Harvey, and I can't make time to as much time as I want to see my youngest brother Harry and my parents and like anything else. I can't do that because I'm a bodybuilder and I barely have any time, and
You've
I'm a coach.
sacrificed it all.
Yeah, but what you don't realize is that you're not serving yourself. You're now becoming more unhappy. You're more unhappy, and you start leaning into things to give you pleasure, whatever that looks like. For me, it's that, right? It's being on my phone, like, and I use it as a way to distract me from what's making me unhappy. And there's multiple of these things, by the way. It's not just spending time with family, but there's like multiple things that I'm not addressing that mean a lot to me. And now I'm using my phone as a way to escape, or even bodybuilding. I'm using bodybuilding as a way to remove myself from these things that are upsetting me, and I didn't even realize it. And now I'm wasting time doing things that I don't really want to do because I don't have time to do the things that I want to do. Make it make sense. But we don't. This is what happens when you're lacking that self-awareness. Is you can't see what's right in front of you, and that was a big turning point for me. Was like, hold up, if I actively spend more time with Harv and Harry and my parents, and me and Chloe actively make more time for each other to go and do things with each other, and there are other things that I know I want to do to serve myself, which bring me meaning. If I do these things, I'll be happy. And when I'm happy, I'm not trying to escape. And when I'm not trying to escape, I then have more time. And when I have more time, I can then do more of the things that make me happy. And it's like, it's this massive, it can go in one way or the other. It's this huge, like, spiral in a positive way or in a negative way.
Mm.
And that was the turning point for me. Is like, I can be a good bodybuilder. In fact, I am a better bodybuilder when I am serving myself in every other way that I need to.
Because of
I am a
enjoyment.
worse, exactly, because I'm happy, right? I'm happy. I'm stress free. I feel like I'm serving myself in the ways that I need to. I'm allowing for more time because I'm more organized and I'm not trying to escape my unhappiness. Um, and it, yeah, I think that's like really, really powerful. Is like, if you're a young person, again, coming back around to what we were saying initially, is if you're a young person, and you're like starting out on this journey, really like sit and spend some time working out what really makes you happy, like what really, really gives you meaning. And for me, it's bodybuilding. Bodybuilding makes me really happy. My family and friends make me really, really happy. And I'm really close to my family. And I've not got many friends, I've like really close friends, probably like half a dozen. But spending time with them and making them a priority makes me really happy. Being able to serve others makes me really happy. Anyone that is within my close circle of friends, or I feel like I've let them in, usually they're much younger than me, and usually I've done a lot for them. It's the same with coaching. Like, I'm always trying to bring people up. And it's like, and coaching allows me to do that. And that makes me really, really happy. Um, and I think, and I think providing as well, that's another thing. Like, I feel happy when I feel like I can provide for Chloe, or I feel like I'm happy when I can provide for Harvey. You know, when people can lean on me, and I have all the answers. You know, whether it be, not that I fucking throw money at people, but like I've got the financial freedom to be able to help people in you know, a financial crisis,
Yeah.
or I have the advice or the experience to be able to guide someone out of like a tricky situation. Like,
Mm.
that also makes me like, gives me purpose. And so I'm like, I need to address all of those things. And when I'm doing that, that's when I'm really happy. I think a lot of people just see bodybuilding and go,
It's
if I have
just
a
a
good
physique.
physique,
Hmm.
yeah, if I have a good physique, I'm going to be happy because everybody's going to think I look min.
That's
No,
worse.
mate. No, no, mate. Like,
There's
you're going to become this one person that has this one thing, and you're ignoring everything else at the expense of it.
there's 2 points that I want to touch on there. The
Sorry
first
for
point is,
rambling as well, by the way.
no, you're good. I love it. The first point is, in my opinion, it's like how I view bodybuilding as a whole. It's kind of like you're standing at a crossroad and you've got two rabbit holes, right? Because we both know that rabbit holes are infinite and they just carry on going. So there's two holes that you got. You've got one rabbit hole, which is the positive side of it. You're more focused on yourself. You're more focused on what you enjoy, what you love, like you're saying, the passion, the enjoyment, the fulfillment, all of the positive emotions that you get from bodybuilding. And it's kind of the reason that we do bodybuilding. That's one rabbit hole. And if you fall into that one, you'll probably find yourself at more success and more enjoyment and passion. And a lot of that comes down to that rabbit hole gives you worth. That rabbit hole gives you meaning. It gives you purpose. It allows you to have influence on others. It allows you to um, further improve what you do on a day-to-day life and how you improve your life as a general. Like you said, being able to give back to other people, being able to be
Mm.
that shoulder that people can lean on. And it's not just money. It's about advice. It's about um, information. It's about kind of the how you have
Just
gone about your
emotional
life.
support.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like being able to have people come to me, ask me questions, or come to me with struggles, and me being able to sort it out and help them and give them advice and tips on how to improve it, and or even how to think about it in a different way. Like, I had a client yesterday who came to me and he was like, "I'm really stressed out. Like, I'm 2 kilos lighter than the day before." And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry. You're not going to lose muscle in a day overnight. Like, you're absolutely fine. There's so many variables to it. It's not worth stressing over. Go back to what you were doing. Carry on doing what you have been doing for the last few days, and no doubt we'll see it come back on." And then you've got the other rabbit hole, which is the negative side. It's the focus on being viral. It's the focus on having presence. It's almost like, if you have an opportunity here, say for example, this is a sponsorship, okay, the more that you beg to it, the more that you ask questions about when you're going to get that or when you're going to reach this stage, the actual further you're going to get away from it, and the more the staircase is going to grow. Whereas if this is just a reward from the hard work you're putting in, you actually find that staircase gets smaller because you're less focused about where it is on the staircase and you're more focused on how you can improve and get further up the staircase and move quicker.
Do you know what
And
you know what that analogy is, don't you?
no, tell me.
You'll have heard it before, and most people have.
Probably.
It's not about the destination; it's about the
It's
journey.
about yeah.
It's
And that's what
exactly what it
bodybuilding
is.
is. Bodybuilding is
Mm-hmm.
a constant journey. You're always a little fish in a big pond, no matter where you are, whether you're an amateur, pro, whether you're Olympia, it doesn't matter. Like you can even be the top Olympian in the world. You're still a fish in a pond. And at any point you can be dethroned. And I think that's the important thing is don't be fixated on the
Thing.
the thing. Don't be fixated on the placement. Don't be fixated on it. Do it because you love it. Do it because you enjoy it.
Mm.
Do it because it brings you passion. It brings you fulfillment. Like I love podcasting so much because I get to have a conversation with you. I get to share information with you and share insights and learn so much. And everyone else who will listen to this will gain the same thing. So
Mm.
it's like for what I gain, which is having conversation, other people gain from information and wisdom. And I think people
Giving
don't,
back.
yeah, exactly. And that's all it is. That's the reason I got into coaching. That's the reason why I love coaching. That's the reason why I love podcasting. It's all about giving back to people that I'm now in a fortunate position that I can do that. And I look at people like you, I look at people like other bigger influencers, bigger bodybuilders, those who are further down the line that have more influence than I do. And I get that same passion from them. I get the same wisdom, the same insights. And it's just knowing where you are in the journey, but knowing that you can always take something more from someone, or even you can take something from someone who's a less fortunate position. It's all
Mm.
about kind of a perspective.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. I imagine you're very much the same, but I think, oh, sorry, in terms of the podcast, I think we're
Mhm.
probably similar. But for me, um, I think the key is to try and do things that tick multiple boxes at once.
Mm.
In terms of how you serve yourself, and for me, with the podcast, it does so much, and I imagine you're very much the same. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to tell you what it does for me. I want you to tell me what it does for you. What does and like you need to be completely honest as well. Like, and there are no right or wrong answers. It's just about being completely honest and vulnerable. What you've mentioned some of them already, but try and list all of the things that podcasting does for you. How does it serve you doing this? And it doesn't even have to. I mean, look, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, so I'll let you
Mhm.
answer that question.
Okay. Podcasting. What I'll do is I'll just bullet point words because it's
Yeah,
probably the easiest thing. So, fulfillment. It gives me
yeah.
fulfillment.
In
Purpose.
how though?
Okay, so it gives me fulfillment because I not only do I get to learn something, but I get to give information to others who might not have that knowledge already, or even those who do have that knowledge, it might give them a different perspective on someone else's point of view. So like me
So it's
having
self development, which is learning.
self-development,
Yeah.
self-worth, I think it also it gives I'm
And
trying to think of
then you've just mentioned it. The other thing is you've just said, which is serving
self-worth,
others. So
serving others.
self development and then
Yeah.
serving others. They're the two things so far.
Yeah.
Uh, and then this is where
Influence.
when I influence, good, nice. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is good. Why
Um,
influence?
influence because it influence because I might not be in a social standing position that you are, let's say,
Yeah.
but I can still give insight and information to you.
Okay.
So I can influence the way that you might see a point or a topic that you might not even know. But because I'm in this position, I can influence the way you're thinking and I can influence others into seeing my perspective on things.
See, I think and this is why I do it, and this is why, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I think podcasting podcasting is potentially giving you um, a platform to show what your parts of you that you think are you're good at,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then if you get recognition for that, not that you want the recognition
Reinforcement.
specifically, I think you then gain status. And when you gain status, you gain power.
Mm-hmm.
And power
Authority.
isn't something that should be looked down upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Power comes with being able to nurture, right? People see power as like, power hungry, power mad, right? But in the right hands, I think power is it is necessary. We want to give power to the right people, right? And so for me, it does exactly what you just said. It's self-development because I'm speaking with and learning from people and getting insight on people's opinions around things that I might not necessarily have myself. That's my self-development. I'm learning. The other thing is I get to offer this up to the world, right? So I'm serving others, right? And that makes me feel good. And the other thing that it does is it gives me status, and status gives me power and money. And power and money allows me to further my career and
Mm-hmm.
further influence and do the other things. Money and status and power are just tools to be able to serve yourself further. If you're chasing money for money's sake, Ben Hawksworth, we did the podcast with him. It was the last podcast we did. He said, give money meaning and it'll move forever. When people chase money for money's sake, that's where you encounter problems. When you see money and status and power as a tool to be able to serve yourself and others, that's when it's something positive. And for me, that's what the podcast is. It's like I serve myself, I serve others, I also gain more power and more status, and it indirectly is impacting my finances. It's an investment, and it's going to allow for further expansion in all of those areas, right? And that is exactly what I imagine. It's the same thing. And thing is that I felt like you might shy away from admitting that there's potential for it to be
There's one more.
financially related.
There's
Go
one
on, hit
more
me.
regarding status, and this
Mm.
is personal and ego. Not ego, but it's kind of in a way.
No, that's cool. I like the ego shit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
go.
yeah. The more status I have, the more people can listen to what I have to say and the opinions I have. The
And do you
more,
think
if
that's important?
to me, yes, because I feel like I have a lot, as someone who's 20 years old, I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of information to share. I feel like I have a lot of maturity for my age. And I
I
feel
would agree.
like because of the fact I'm 20, a lot of people will overlook what I say. So the more status I have, the more authority I have, the more the opinions I put out there will actually get taken in instead of dismissed.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
That's
that's very
brilliant.
important to me because I think that what I know, I can influence people and I
What
can
you can offer.
change exactly what I can offer. I feel like is so important to me because I'm passionate about this. I love
Mm.
podcasting because I love giving back. And I feel like if people don't listen to that or they don't see it because of the fact I'm 20, that's why I'll never put my age anywhere. Because yes, it might be a viral tool and it might be like that. But at the same time, people will overlook you because of the fact that you're 5, 10 years younger than them. And you
What could a
haven't
20-year-old have to offer me?
exactly, you haven't
Yeah.
walked through life. It's like, okay, cool. But I can still outplay you in certain different things. I can see a perspective that you wouldn't even understand. And that just comes with the way you've been brought up, the way you the people.
I don't think that's an ego on your part. I think that's ego on other people's part. I think anyone that's
Yes,
going to dismiss someone else because of their age is coping hard.
the ego
Uh,
on my part is wanting to be valued. That's the ego on my part, wanting to feel like my opinions are valued instead of dismissed.
Trying to work out if that is.
It's a mixture of both because it's like obviously other people's ego is to take in the value, but my ego is the fact that I want my opinion to be acknowledged and valued because of the
Mm.
worth I feel it has.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out whether or not I think that's there probably is an element of ego there. And I'll admit mine's probably the same with the podcast, but I don't think it's inherently bad. I don't think
No, no,
wanting to feel valued is necessarily a bad
no.
thing,
It's
especially
the
when you
reason
feel
that
like
we
you
want our
have a positive
podcast to
thing to
grow.
offer.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
Like we want our podcast to be viral, not because we want the everything that comes from having a viral podcast. It's because by it being viral, more people see it and you have more
mm,
influence on those people.
yeah, absolutely.
As you said, money
Um,
is a byproduct.
important to remember that.
Mm. Okay, right. I got a few topics that we want to talk about. So
Hit me.
let's touch on the Sam Sulek. What is your opinion on, like, I want to get your brutal opinion on, like, how you view the Sam Sulek situation with the Arnold, and what is your thought process behind everything that he did on the day?
Okay, well, let's go objective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Objectively, when it comes to his position as a pro next to the rest of them, he was dog shit in comparison. But then zoom out, right, and don't look at this. Although it is a, it is like a scorecard sport. You know, you perform, you shit, then you shit. That's ultimately that's you can't get around that. But then if you add context, he's 24. He doesn't have a coach. He turned pro only last year. He's
Done 3
he's
shows.
and it would be very hypocritical of me to start this podcast talking about young adults or young people and their struggles finding their way through the world and making the right decisions and spending time learning for themselves as to what are the right and wrong things to do, and then sit here and go, yeah, he's a fucking moron, he should have got a coach, blah blah blah. Like if we zoom out a little bit, he's still just a kid, right? He's just a young lad, and he's still very much just finding his way. And and but having said that, he said something fucking brilliant in a Chris Williamson podcast, which was, if you can remove the emotion from criticism, you can use it as something positive. You know, he was like, these people comment on my YouTube videos and they'll go, "Oh, bro, you fucking cap, your mic shit," or whatever, or like you can barely hear what you're saying, or so I've stopped listening, or I'm not listening to that again because you might, or whatever. And it's the same thing. Like if you can remove the what feels like an attack and hear the potential constructive criticism from that, then you are then it becomes a tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'll use it as the same. I think he'll do the same. And everyone, you know, we don't know where his head's at, and we don't know what his reasons are. But if he's wanting to be the best bodybuilder he can be, then off the back of that and the feedback that he's getting, whilst largely very unnecessarily direct and like attacking, he can use that and go, okay, well, I probably do need a coach. I probably do need someone to help me pose. And if I really do want to be an amazing bodybuilder, then I am probably going to have these things and think about these. But that's if he really, really wants to be at the top of the sport. Like, we don't
Mm-hmm.
even know that he does. He might just want to be doing this because he's a casual and he's enjoying it. And he just happens to be lucky enough to be a casual and be also good enough to be a pro bodybuilder. I think just as ever, bodybuilding fans are just fucking awful sometimes, and I think it's very easy to jump down, you know, a young lad's throat and
Mm-hmm.
go, "Yeah, you shit," because you stood next to Wes, who's like nearly 10 years older than you, and look great. Like,
So my opinion on it, from someone who's young and someone who's kind of saw it in a different light. Obviously, everyone's attacking him for his posing. Everyone's attacking for him the fact that he put in so much hard work and so much effort and he didn't put in the time for posing. Okay, cool. He put out a post later that day saying, I think I came like 7th or 8th out of whatever, but at the end of the day, I don't really care about the placing. I came in bigger, I came in leaner, and I presented a bigger physique. He's already dismissed the thing that everyone cares about in terms of placing, because he's looking at the foundations of the fact that he improved, he got better, and that was, at the end of the day, that was his pro debut on the second biggest stage in the UK. Yes, he has social presence, and that had a slight influence on the fact that he got the pro card in the first place. Do we know that for certain? No. Do we have an inkling? Probably.
Does it
But all,
matter?
it doesn't matter. No. And
No.
also the thing is, right? Everyone who commented negatively on any of the posts that had that is because they hold this expectation that he wants what they want him to want.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I believe that's a very, it's a very, it comes down to back down to the self-worth, self whatever. It's like, because they're not in the position that he's in, they haven't had that opportunity that he's in, he should want what they want him to want. And I think that's very important to think, is like, he might not want to be the best in the world, and he's just constantly pursuing being better and improving physique, and he's kind of humoring the social side of it by competing.
How many people that are in more how many people that are more secure in who they are and their own ability and their lives do you reckon punched down at Sam?
Probably none.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all you need to know, as far as I'm concerned. Like the people that like constructive feedback from other bodybuilders will that are secure in themselves and their positions in life will have gone something like, "Great work, Sam. Made load of progress. You were leaner, bigger, looked fantastic. Um, if you wanted to maybe improve or some constructive criticism, I think the posing definitely
Improve
needs some
suspension.
work." And like a posing coach would be great for you, and I think that it really help. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's a conversation to be had about getting a coach, because those last few weeks, those last couple of months leading into a show, it becomes really difficult to try and manage your own emotions and be objective in those moments. But otherwise, mate, loads of progress. That's what bodybuilding's about, just being better than the last time. Well done. Right. That's what a secure bodybuilder that's genuinely wanting, or a secure human that genuinely wants more for Sam in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
People who ridicule him are insecure, and they are making an assumption on what what they think he wants and hasn't delivered on, and usually that's because it's what they want, um, and they're so unhappy with their own lives that they have to word it in a way which is an attack, and they're so insecure with their own shit that they have to word it in a way which is an attack. Nobody that's secure and happy with where they are and genuinely wanted to make a comment on Sam's performance, none of them punch down. Not one single person. And anyone on social media that has done, I think you need to probably spend a bit more time just looking at yourself, like work out why you felt that the necessity to speak about him like that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next one. The Martin Fitzwalker. So again, I think it touches on a bit of what we were saying.
Was that
In that
intentional,
last one.
or was that did you said Nick Fitzwalker, as in like between Fitz and
If it's
Nick
water,
Walker,
I
or
meant.
what? I was going to say I didn't know if that was an accident or on purpose, but if it was on purpose, that was fucking brilliant.
I actually wrote that. I wrote Fitzwalker. um, but yeah, obviously he's now been dropped from both Elevate and Raw.
Yeah.
Take the floor. What's your opinion?
Um, I think it's really easy to judge, and I'm not saying I'm a saint, right? I have made judgments on Martin, right, and in my own head, I've not commented anything, but in my own head, I'm thinking, fucking hell, what's like, this guy needs to grow up, or I'm thinking, fucking hell, like, bro, sort your shit out. Do you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, the sponsors have dropped him and everything, and I'm just thinking, well, this is what happens when. But the other thing is, if you take a step back and rather than ridicule and criticize, and again, I'm not saying I'm a perfect human being, because I do, and I have done, and I will continue to do. But for me, my goal is to not do that, right? It's to be more empathetic and be more understanding. And I think if we take a step back, we don't know anything about Martin,
Mm.
really. We know very little. We don't know what's going on in his head, what's going on in his mind, what's going on in his personal life. We don't know anything. And and he could have some demons. Do you know what? Or he could just be being a spoiled brat, right? And or he might not even know why he's behaving the way that he's behaving, and he might not fully understand it himself. And I think as a society, we love to jump on that opportunity to criticize people's behavior and tear them down. And it's like virtue signaling. It's like, oh, I would never do that. Oh, I would never do that. Like, you're not Martin. You're not in his position. You don't know what he's thinking or what he's dealing with. And like, do you know what I mean? I could very easily over the internet go, oh, I would never do this. I would never do that. But like, I've done lots of shit that I said I would never do and have gone and done or done in the past. Like, this is part of being human. And I think while some things are unforgivable, and I think some things should be punished, I think um, rehabilitation uh, and being understanding and trying to support people in their hour of need when something is clearly just not right. Like, you don't just react like that and behave like that when everything's great. I think there needs to be a bit more compassion. That's what the word I was looking for. I think there needs to be a bit more compassion. And I think there's a lot of people that are jumping on the internet trying to make themselves look and feel good because they think they wouldn't do what Martin would do. Yet they've probably done worse shit in their lives than fucking cheer at someone's loss. They've probably done worse than that in their lives to someone else. So I'm like, yeah,
There's
it
a few
wasn't a
different.
great thing. He shouldn't have done
No.
it, right? It's that's obviously the main point is he shouldn't have done it. It was silly. It was silly behavior, and it's like he should have known better. And of course, there's going to be backlash from that. But it's been and done now. Why did he do it?
Hmm.
That should be the question. Why?
Yeah, I think you touched on a few points there, and it's like you don't know what's going on in his life. And actually, the fact that that happened, there's potentially something going on in his personal life, and now he's been both dropped by both of two of the biggest sponsors that he has. Like that could potentially detriment even more than what is already going on. And there's very much of this mob culture kind of thing that everyone is only seeing the objective outsider view of the fact that he reacted this way on the stage after Nick won, or after Nick didn't win. And as a result, he's a really bad person. He's horrible, right? There's been so many people comment on it, especially on the post showing that he's been dropped. And there's loads of compassion now because of this backlash. And if there was no backlash, people would be like, "Oh, this needs to happen. He needs to be dropped. He needs to be dropped." And then he is dropped, and everyone's like, "Oh, I think this is slightly over the top." And it's like, well, make up your mind. Like you're
It's that
only.
thing, is it's
No, go
that
on.
thing, isn't it? It's like it's like people want your head. Do you know what I mean? They want to hang him. You've done something, and it's like hang him. Fucking get the noose around his neck. And then as soon as someone's actually got the noose around his neck and he's got his arms tied behind his back and he's like about to fall to his death, everyone's going, whoa, 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 what are you doing? That's a bit harsh. He's only fucking like, why are you, do you know what I mean? And it's like,
It's the saying. It's like everyone will support you on your come up as long as you're not above them, and as soon as you're above
yeah.
them, they only want you to come down.
Again, it's like virtue signaling, isn't it? It's like, you are a piece of shit. You shouldn't have done this, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets like the reaction or the outcome of that is like an extreme negative result because of the outpouring of hate. And then everyone they go virtue signaling the other way and they go, oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, that's harsh. It's like, fucking pick one. Do you know what I mean?
It's just
You want to see him fucking like this huge fall from grace, or you want to just a little bit of punishment. You want people to just go, you shouldn't have done that, Martin. Come on, apologize. Right? It's like one or the other, isn't it? You can't have them both.
yeah. And this is the other side of the story. As we were talking earlier, everyone wants this fame, everyone wants this viralness, And look at Martin, he pretty much is the pinnacle of that. And one wrong move and everything can fall out. So
Mm.
you're chasing this status and this kind of influence on people. But then what you don't realize is everything you do is watched. Everything you do is watched. And any little mistake you might make will cause backlash. And
Yeah.
then people will get to that position. They're like, oh, well, that's not fair. Like, this is something that normally would happen and no one would see it. It was like, well, you wanted this. You wanted the fame. You wanted to walk into a room and have bodyguards surrounding you and crowds of people wanting you and all of that. But all of that comes with no privacy. It comes with no ability of being able to do what you would do on a day-to-day basis. Like, you can't just go to a coffee shop in the morning and expect no one to be surrounding you and mobbing you. Like,
You're in the spotlight,
exactly.
and
People
your
want the
actions are
spotlight.
going to be judged.
Yeah, people want the spotlight, but then they want the life that they are living already, just with more freedom. Like, you can't have both. You either want the
Mm.
spotlight and you want to live in the spotlight, or you want a secluded life where you have privacy. There's no in between.
It's just a different set of problems, I think. Like, people think that you get to a certain point when it comes to, well, anything in life, and you'll go, and look at Martin as an example, gets thrusted into the limelight, probably thinks a lot of his problems and issues will be resolved. Probably those issues and problems that he had were resolved, but now his position comes with a whole new host of issues and problems. Like, life isn't a game of like no problems. It's a case of addressing current problems at the expense of finding new ones. And that's where Martin's found himself. It's like he's in a position. It's maybe caused him to behave a certain way, or maybe highlighted how he behaves because he's got the limelight on him. And now that's come with a new host of problems. And I think he'll navigate it the way that however he needs to. But yeah, I think it was a harsh overreaction from the public. I think it was a bit unfair, and I think someone he needs to look at and address his own behaviour. But yeah, I think again that mob mentality it's just a bit shit, isn't it?
Bodybuilding as a whole, eh?
Well, yeah, unfortunately.
Max, you're awesome. Thank you very much. This has been so fun, and I've loved getting to know you on a little deeper level. Let's bring this home. Where can people find you?
Instagram, Myron Max, MIRIN.Max. I'm not really
Podcast?
on TikTok, so podcast, yeah, well in. The Unknown Podcast YouTube, and then same as and then I've got my own YouTube, which is Myron Max as well.
Awesome. What can people?
Appreciate you having me on, mate.
No, you're very welcome. Yeah, I've loved this. This is very, very good, and I think a lot of people can take away an awesome amount of information from this, whether it's like your own personal perspective on your life and the points that you have on different opinions and stuff, but also I think just the generic way of looking at life as a whole and how you view not only yourself but what you do on a day-to-day. What can
Appreciate
people
that.
expect from you in the next year?
Good question. I think just try and have more of a profound impact on the bodybuilding society, especially that younger generation. The goal for me is really try and create a community over the next like 12 to 18 months where it's as inclusive as possible in multiple different ways, and just generally having a positive impact on the wider bodybuilding community. In terms of my own like bodybuilding goals, who knows? I'm not sure. I was going to prep this year. I stopped that after about 3 weeks because something just didn't feel right. And I think tracking back to what we said earlier, just understanding yourself and knowing what you need in that moment and how you're serving yourself. I don't know if I will end up prepping this year. I might do, might not. If not, Chloe's in the background smiling at me. But yeah, no spoilers. But yeah, we'll see. And then obviously with the podcast, just to grow it, mate. Just to see, just to reach more people, just to have more guests on with different views on things and life, and give back, as we mentioned earlier, be able to impact people in some kind of positive fashion.
Love it. Love it. Again, Max, thank you for joining me. This has been phenomenal. And hopefully, if you have made it this far and you've enjoyed, please leave a like, please leave a subscribe. If you have any comments for Max or me or anything about what we've touched on, feel free to leave a comment or message Max directly. But again, thank you if you've made it this far, and hopefully you've enjoyed. Speak to you guys soon. Peace out.